What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Good afternoon to you. So, I got a little bit of coffee here. I did this video yesterday, but I messed it up because I deleted all the stills in it. So I got to start over because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And it's got to be right. So look, to be clear, I got my phone and I'm going to be reading some notes from it. And I want to start off with just a little word to Ed, because he was kind enough to host me on his channel, but only after they sat there and watched my videos for like a year. I don't have a personal axe to grind with Ed. In fact, Ed and Eddie Dennis, I kind of like them, and if they were at my house, I don't even drink, but I would be making them mint juleps. I've got the stuff to make a little bit of Southern Comfort, some soda water, some mint leaves, and sit there and I would cook them both carne asada. 100%. No lie. Ed, I earned the uniform. And I want to make it clear, Ed doesn't owe me anything. He owes you the dates and clarity on what he stated. So I've got a list of things going down the whole thing. The first one is Ed is not given both of his surnames. I've talked about this for a long time, and it's an issue because it makes it impossible to validate exactly who Ed Calderon is. A Mexican agency uses for confidence exams in CUIP, as Clave Único Identificación Policiaca, uses both names. You got to have them. It's like having a first name and a last name in the United States. If you don't have both of them, it doesn't really matter. And the same's true in Ed's case, because in Mexico they use two last names. So even though I can call up, with the CUIP that Ed gave me, and confirm that someone with the last name Calderon did in fact work at the Baja California State Police with a birth date similar to Ed's, we still don't really know that it's Ed. It's just some guy named Calderon. The same, not different than John Doe. Okay? Ed and Eddie Dennis wanted me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I wouldn't do it. We finally recorded a video together. My first contact with Ed was in either 2014 or 2016 via Facebook. I was asking him, trying to vet him then, and I was still at work at the time too. Ed sent me two pictures of him at a police facility, but there's no way of knowing whether or not he worked there, if a cousin, a brother, or someone else with the last name Calderon is using that CUIP or anything. There's a lot of stuff that's still in the air and can't be proven. One of my major bones to pick with Ed is on Joe Rogan Experience, JRE number 1302, airing May 23rd of 2019.
So I've been up here for 4 years now as a resident, right?
In the United States for 4 years. Ed states that he's been a resident in the U.S. for 4 years as of May 22nd, 2019. On or about that same date, because it may have been filmed a couple days before. The problem with that is on Change Agents with Andy Stump, number 41, 17th of January, 2004, afterwards.
In that job, he went out of office, and like everything, when that happens, people go back to where they're from, and I went back to operational work, which I did for 3 more years.
Ed claims that after the governor left, which was Jose Osuna Milan, is who Ed stated that he was either in charge of. There's more claims on that. We'll just keep it brief. Jose Osuna Milan. Ed stated that when Jose Osuna Milan left office on 31 of October of 2013, Ed told Andy Stump that he went back to operations for 3 years, which means that the 23 May 2015 being a resident and October 31st, 2016, almost November, cannot be both be the end of Mexican service as stated. Ed either left in 2015, way before that, including time to obtain his residency, or he wasn't in service, or he wasn't a resident for 4 years, and I think that he would know how long he was a resident for, and he misspoke about the end of his service. And this is kind of an issue because I've given you my entrance date and when I left. I've given you my full name so you can verify all of it, paycheck stubs, etc. Ed's claiming 4 years residency in May of 2019. However, on Andy Stump's show, he's saying that after Osuna Milan left in almost November 1st of 2013, another 3 years service, which almost stretches into 2017. It doesn't make any sense. And if in 2017, if he's on Joe Rogan's, a year and a half later, he can't have been a resident in the United States for 4 years. Doesn't work out. The math doesn't math, dude. Ed also claims that he left at the change of administration, and at least one telling, the next night or the next day, gear in a bag. Peña Nieto. Vega, the previous governor, left office the first of, or started, Peña Nieto started December 1st, 2012. Vega started the 1st of November 2013. There were no later incoming administration matches in a 2000, or no later incoming administration matches a 2015 to a 2016 exit, including with administrators of the state police. There were human rights issues going on there that have been well documented that have to do with Lezola Perez or other people. But what doesn't happen is one administration changes in something like 2009, and the next one changes in 2011, I think. But the next subsequent one, or administration change, that would affect Ed didn't happen until 2019, well after Ed left. So, Ed, what administration change exactly are you referring to that provoked you to leave immediately? And then not only that, you stated that this happened and you went back to operations after Osuna Milan left for 3 years, which doesn't match you packing your stuff up and leaving within 24 hours. It's not clear. As far as Ed's generational experience, Policía Estatal Preventiva law was published October 31st of 2001. Was in force 1st of November 2001. The 7th generation at 6 to 7 months per class does not fit a 2004 entry on that clock. 7th generation only works if the academy clock starts in 2000. It cannot be the first experimental class of 2004, 2003, 2002, or anything like that. So when Ed's talking about his newspaper advertisements wanting to be an experimental police force, the Baja California Police had already been in operation for 2 years, and the police academy had been in operation since 2000. Additionally, if we're going to speak about American accreditation, CALEA, C-A-L-E-A, accredited Baja California PEP, Law Enforcement Plus Academy at the summer 2013 conference in Columbus, Ohio. Not a 2004, already CALEA Americanized police force. Number 11, here's another problem. The Coronado Navy NSW, Naval Special Warfare SEAL adjacent training placed in the 2010 to the 2011 era. So if it was an Americanized police force, per Ed's claims on Mexico Armado and many other places, this training came way after the fact, and even potentially while he's training with Scott Babb in San Diego doing Libre knife fighting, circa 2010 to 2013.
Bunch of
2010.
yeah,
So I think 12 was when
era.
we went to Mexico City.
Per Scott Babb's and Ed Calderon's words, where they met in 2010 and then doing the seminar in Mexico City, etc. So there's that whole thing going on. Congress requires, Ed, that all foreign military training is in the annual FMTR 22 United States Code Section 2416, Volume 1 is unclassified. It names the foreign unit, and these years, the location also, Ed. This is very important. I've got it right here in case anybody wants to see it. In fiscal year 2010, 2011, and 2012, Per Ed's claims on several places of being at Coronado multiple times or on his Instagram timeline exactly from July 11th, 2011 to July 25th or 26th, don't hold me on the second date, it's one or the other, with subsequent training going on in Quantico or Washington, D.C., per the newspaper clipping or the news ad that Ed puts on his Instagram, there should be something there regarding training Mexican foreign nationals and stuff like that, but there's not. It requires this to be listed in this. In fiscal year 2010, 2011, and 2012, the Secretaría de Seguridad Pública, Baja California Policía Estatal Preventiva, is not the named NSW/Coronado student. Same 3 years, any Mexican unit. This pass does not yield a citable unclassified line with the location Coronado Naval Special Warfare Center. Mexico's reported U.S. courses sit on other schoolhouses. If there is a Coronado row, it is on those Mexico pages. If there is, produce it, Ed, because I can't. It's right here. When you go into this document, and I will screenshot it or throw a video in where I've already gone through and searched it so you don't have to, and I'll speed it up, you will see that even on the dates, Instagram 25, Policía Estatal Preventivo Coronado Week beginning 11 July 2011 to Quantico, Washington, no unclassified line. 25 Baja Pep, Naval Special Warfare, Coronado, 11 to 17 July 2011. Not there, Ed. Coronado's not giving any courses on that day to you guys. Crazy. Mexico had other reported training in fiscal year 2011 that is not this unit, this week, this base overlap for 11/25 for July 2011. Anywhere in the USA is a line-by-line read of Mexico in 197615.pdf. Okay? Done my homework, Ed. Merida Public Record. Just like you going on the record with Steve Murphy talking about all things DEA or DEA, and Steve brings up your guys' potential training in a meeting somewhere. I'll stick the video clip in here.
2004 when the unit, when I first got involved in the unit, probably 2003-ish era was when it got started.
So when all this concept came up, I was in the original meetings for that operation down in Mexico City when we were at the embassy having a meeting with the ambassador, and I think SOCOM was actually there and some of the military forces, and then went over and met with the Mexican government and the officials. And, you know, a lot of the questions were they wanted to bring you guys up in the U.S. to train. And they were trying to figure out how to get weapons across the border. That was the biggest problem we were encountering. And this was still in the infancy stages. But
you mean how to get weapons across the border legally?
Yeah. Well, you know, bring their weapons into the U.S. to train with, because you want to train with the weapon you're going to carry, right?
Yeah.
They have brought up in congressional hearings or other expert panels on YouTube that you can look up yourself, actually introducing instructors into Mexico to train Mexican nationals, generally speaking at a federal level, either being a federal preventative police agent or the Secretaría de la Marina, which is Mexican Marine Infantry, or SEDENA, Secretaría de Defensa Nacional, which is the Mexican Army and Air Force. Ironically, they'll go there and they'll train the Mexican military in Mexico, or if they are training police, they'll bring instructors to Mexico to train Mexican nationals. They don't particularly or generally bring them here, not for that type of training. And this is going to become an issue in a little bit. The Merida Public Record does not document NSW training Baja California at Coronado at all. Instagram Elizabeth Vargas, which is an American, does an item on Navy SEAL training of Baja California Policía Estatal Preventiva, and the clip is not in the FMTR, the Foreign Military Training Record Log. It's not in there at all. Mexico Armado, number 19. Yojimbo Joyimbo, December 2011. Ed is posting on that under his assumed name or his pseudonym that he's getting ready to go to Coronado in December of 2011, which would potentially project that into even 2012, which is why I included all three fiscal years. I'm going to try to hurry this because I don't want to bore you guys. Number 20, the same handle, Libre and Travis Haley. Haley did not confirm ITAR warning on the mail when Ed is sitting there talking about doing tactical magazine training with Travis Haley, and Travis Haley claims that Ed claims that the class was very good, so he claims that he did go to that class. I'm assuming it was in the United States. I have addressed Travis Haley on this directly. He will not confirm that at all, which is weird because there's nothing that should be classified about training that when all of that training is supposed to be recorded in the FMTR, and that's not in there. Caption. I have to be careful how I do this. There are videos that could have been clipped where Ed is sitting there speaking directly to potentially Gaffe 423 when Gaffe's having a 6-hour long talk in his video, and then the podcast is 3.5 hours to 4 hours, but then it winds up being 2 hours and 11 minutes on one video. Maybe there's a subsequent video, but they potentially were discussing a free fall at Jamul, which Ed does reference on his Instagram. Skydive San Diego, Bramstedt. I've spoken to Bramstedt, who's one of only 2 owners of that place, Navy SEALs, where Navy SEALs jump, and they have claimed flatly that they've never had any Mexican nationals jump there. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, man.
Hey, how you doing?
I was talking with the guys, and they said, yeah, we've never done a course for Mexico.
Wow, okay.
Never had like a class full of Mexican nationals come through our school.
Ed, if you jumped at Jamal as you claim on your Instagram line, which Master Chief signed off on it, and why aren't any of your other buddies sitting there proclaiming this same Navy SEAL training? It's ironic to me that after I bring this stuff up, what in my view are videos starting to get clipped, and now I have to document every single thing to make sure that you guys don't escape my grasp if you're telling half-truths. Jeff Bramstedt comes flat out and stated that you guys have never jumped there, and it would be interesting to see the flight logs and everything else, the jump logs. Which Master Chief signed your jump certificate, or any of the other people that you claim jumped there with you? Babb trained Ed circa 2010 to 2012. Scott Babb doesn't know your second last name, even though he's filling out certificates for your work. The helicopter still sit with the rifles, sit on the Tijuana International tarmac. The group in those frames, you know, it's interesting that you guys will be sitting there with weapons on a Baja California tarmac, but you're sitting there in the United States with a blurred out gun, hipping a pistol or a secondary weapon on your hip with that blurred out, but all of the other weapons that you got in the helicopter photographs at Baja California Tijuana International Airport are not obscured. Kind of weird. In fact, I'm just going to say that this straight up looks like military airbase number 12 in Tijuana, Ed, not in the States. You're sitting there doing this high-speed training with Navy SEALs, but you're the only one in any of the photos. Nobody else is with you. But in the Tijuana, Mexico photos, there's several people with you, including Scott Babb. Every U.S. photograph Ed has published, Coronado, Quantico, Washington, the flag is, the Secretary of State flag is Ed alone. No Mexican classmates, no American instructors, not the other 24 people that were at the place, not the other 2 for the DC. Never has any of these people there, nor has he named exactly who they are. Quantico fits the OSAP, short paid state course, including for dependents, not a federal law enforcement pipeline. So these pictures in front of the State Department flag in Quantico overstate what they really potentially are. You yourself could go get these pictures if you're watching this video. Armory at the start, an AR-15 and a 9mm AR platform, and another telling you're talking about having a grenade launcher by night 2 with Lazola Perez or whatever. Baja California, Tijuana to Juarez is an AO, an area of operations, not a state Policía Estatal Preventiva Control. There are at least 2, if not 3, military regions between Baja California and Juarez, Ed, being the one for Baja California, the one for Sonora, and the one for Chihuahua. And in each one of these, there's multiples of military zones, all of which would group with local forces and federal forces to take care of whatever's going on in there. Ed, please state for everybody how you're a Baja California state officer that has time to do all these knife training seminars, simultaneously in charge of Osuna's detail, but you're conducting operations, not security detail for Osuna Millon, operational experience in Juarez. I can't make heads or tails of that. You explain it because I can't. No public colleague has come forward as one of the other 24 people that were training at Naval Special Warfare's, NCIS, Naval Criminal Investigative Services, or Coronado, or former team guys, as Ed has explained to Jack Carr, Andy Stumpf, and Sean Ryan, and several other Navy SEALs. Ed's been on camera with at least 6 different Navy SEALs, and none of them bring this up. It's not a gotcha moment, but you would think that there would be something, and 7 if we're talking about Jeff Bramstead. Navy SEALs definitely know who Ed is, but they will not name in what function, when, where, or how, which is interesting, being that Ed claims to have been trained by some of these people. On camera with multiple SEALs, none walked the claim through as an FMTR Coronado line. But those are the basic problems with Ed's stories. The jump at Jamul that never happened, the impossibility of either being in service in Mexico while simultaneously being a resident in the United States, and the area of operations being both in Tijuana and then also all the way over in Juarez.
That background. What were you doing in Mexico, specifically law enforcement wise, and then what brought you to the United States?
Law enforcement wise, I was part of a very experimental police unit. It's early 2000s, 2004 specifically, and it's just right before they kick off the actual drug war. Powers that be on both sides of the border were trying to figure out how to do this in a smart way. And among the proposed programs that they had was an Americanized police force working within Mexico. They were looking for young unmarried men with language skills that could receive training in the United States or could be certified by American certification companies. And basically do law enforcement in Mexico in an Americanized way. We were operational for about 12 years. We got training on both sides of the border. Department of the Navy, some of you guys trained us a few times in Coronado. And we were eventually a counter-narcotic unit. We were the first paramilitary police organization that was kind of developed specifically for counter-narcotics in Mexico. Our main area of operations was the northwestern part of Mexico, from Juarez all the way to Baja is where I got most of my experience.
So at what point were you training with SEALs in Coronado?
I mean, that was I think 2010, 2011 era. Basically, we had some pretty cool clearance by the Department of the Navy and the State Department, obviously, which allowed us as foreign nationals to train in Coronado. to go and train with members of NCIS, some team guys, and some people who were coming off fresh combat deployments who were showing us how to use tourniquets, combat medical, anti-terrorism, how to operate urban assault vehicles and armored vehicles in war zones, how to protect the leadership. We were learning a lot about how to hit some of these houses and how to do it in a safe operational way. But
And if my memory serves me correctly, also Baja California Sur and the southern end of the Baja California Peninsula are all things that have come out. All of these special forces guys love to put on blast for their security companies all this high-speed training they're doing of everybody. Sean Ryan has a security company. Travis Haley has a security company. They don't want to put on their thing exactly where, when, and how they were training. High-speed, Mexican, Navy SEAL trained police on high-speed operations across the entire northern boundary of Mexico, confronting cartels. That's something that would sell training in a heartbeat, but they won't even answer an email. You make it make sense, guys, because I can't. That's enough out of me for right now. I'm going to bounce. I got some working out I got to do. Cheers. I hope you like my new haircut. Hey, Ed. Eddie. Any of you guys, other guys, Johnny Mitchell and Katerina Schultz, I just called you during your live feed. I legit was wearing a GATPE, G-A-T-P-E uniform. There's several pictures of either me in proximity of one or out on patrol with them, while a member, John Casada, was imprisoned for 80 years for stuff related to kidnapping, homicide, and human rights abuses, which is the reason why GATPE, Tactical Operation Unit of the Policía Estatal Preventiva, Zacatecas, no longer is in existence, and they're now going with Frizz, which is right in smack in the middle of the Maya Zambada Chapitos Cartel de Jalisco, the Nueva Generación war. And it's crazy, this whole time the only person that's called me is my wife. None of these other people that are attempting to bring you the news, even though that is exactly my house. Not Johnny Mitchell's wheelhouse, not Katerina being based in Mexico with fresh flowers behind her every week because she's sitting in what I'm taking to be an Airbnb or whatever, and her boyfriend or husband or whatever sending her flowers. I've asked that several times. Kat, what is the nature of your stay in Mexico? But today, this is just about Ed. And it's about, I've established myself now for the last couple years, and I don't have anybody that can disprove my story, even though I dare you to. Journalists out there, I dare you. Please do me a favor and independently validate my story so I don't have to go to Grok or ChatGPT or any of those other artificial intelligence programs and say, I'm not independently verified yet. Please do it. Glenn Beck has. Ian Bick seen my stuff, but please independently validate my paycheck stubs and other things so I don't have to sit here and go through that. Also, Vincent Vargas is a federal agent for the Department of Homeland Security, and so when I am telling Vincent stuff in our text together, I could potentially be committing a federal crime if I was lying or making anything up. And to date, my phone is set silence when I have offered Vincent Vargas the ability to have breakfast with me and just shoot the shit off camera. I don't mean to cuss. That's the first cuss word I've stated this entire video. My point being is I would love to bring people the whole truth about everything I know, working with people like John Casara, which is a handful in itself. Working in Mexico is for real, and to watch people go through and just turn it into the Johnny Mitchell, Katerina Schultz comedy hour collectively with Tommy G and other people. It's the American people deserve to better. Ed Calderon doesn't owe me anything, and neither do these other people, but they do owe you the truth when they're pretending to portray the truth, and then they do it with anonymous sources and no evidence and with unfactual claims like they're based out of Mexico, but the whole time they're living in Ukraine or Canada or wherever, the United States. You know, I've been very candid and open with who I am and what I'm about because I want you guys to know that when you come to my channel, I'm not asking you for a nickel of your money and you're getting every penny of what your time is worth. which is the truth. A complete and comprehensive understanding of what goes on. And that starts with being able to discern whether or not the people that are telling us stuff on YouTube are factual, just like Sean Ryan. Sean, out the validity of your living in Colombia for 4 to 6 years selling drugs, and you don't have any conversational Spanish to the extent that you have to have Ed Calderon speak it for you and translate you, and then you look at him with a question, with a unsure look on your face because you don't have any idea what's being stated in that conversation, but you're pretending to set up drugs and drug rings in several different countries: Honduras, Dominican Republic, Panama, obviously Colombia. There's a couple other ones in there I'm listing. I've got the list at home. And the CQB rubber bullet challenge still stands. I'm still good enough. I still stay on top of it, Sean and Vincent. So, you know, if you guys ever want to get together and feel a certain way about having an on-camera video to where we can bring all of our collective audiences together, I would love to do that. And Stefano Rittendell, Julian Dorian, you guys that love to host Ed. Stefano, what do you have on Ed Calderon and these inconsistencies which I've brought up? And how come Katarina Schultz will go with a British guy, Jon Grill, all the way down in Mexico, who's not really Mexican, but they'll go to Colombia. But Katarina Schultz won't sit there and converse back and forth with Ed Calderon. I'd love to know that when she's trying to grow her own channel, there's just all these things. Especially you, Stefano. What's up? What do you got on Ed Calderon? Enough out of me, guys. I'm going to drink the rest of my coffee and bounce. Have a great day.